fit. Their reality doesn't fit with today's structure, today's society. And there's no way in the world that with today's society that black people will ever come together under a religion, since we have so many of them. So if God wanted black people in America to somehow, because we're the true Jews, to somehow come together and obey, why do we have so much separation that he put in place? Because the Muslims will tell you that they have the true doctrine. The Christians will tell you they have the true doctrine, right? And it's more backing the Muslims and the Christians than the black Hebrews, right? So where does this leave us, right? You're supposed to just wait. Don't do shit. Just wait. Follow the commandments of God. Don't do anything. Don't be rich. Who does that benefit? Because you're waiting to die. You know how many people have been waiting before you? I've been hearing this doctrine since the early 90s. It's been around for a long time. It's a lot of people who die waiting for this stuff to happen, and it hasn't happened. So what I get from the black Hebrews is, what's your plan, bro? So if we're not supposed to just serve God and come together, what's your plan for us? And I told you guys, I kept it real with y'all a long time ago. Black unity will never fucking happen. It's not going to happen, not in our lifetime. And it's not going to happen because of religion. It's not going to happen because of social media, hip hop, the entertainment industry, and everything that exists. Because the evil and envy that exists, it exists to keep us apart. It's not for white folks. It's not for Asians. It's for black people specifically to keep us apart. Just like Genesis tell you, they came down and confounded our speech. Genesis talks about everything that they did to keep us separate. Everything that's been done throughout history is to keep black people exactly where we are. And that's what we got to realize. It's not realizing that we curse. It's realizing we're in our predicament because of this power structure, because of this so-called white man or what have you, right? To keep us separate for a more deeper reason. Not because we're cursed. It's because we're too powerful to be allowed to unite, because we did that before. So you have blind faith in something is to abandon logic, right? Because you have blind faith. Blind faith does not fit in our reality. It just don't. So again, you got to go back and look at all-knowing, all-powerful God who's supposed to know what the future is going to pertain, who would know that we would live in a future where that kind of faith would not exist. It would not be practical. There's no way in this society, this day and age, that anybody is going to be walking around having faith, right? So if God ordained the powers that be to be in power, why would he allow them to put together a power structure that's going to breed that kind of society to where faith is bullshit? Faith is non-existent. Faith in no way will pertain to anybody in our society because the way our society is set up, right? We don't live in a religious-based system, right? The difference between here and overseas in these Islamic countries is from birth. These people are born into Sharia law. These people are born into the Islamic culture, the government itself, the way you go shopping, the way you dress, everything is structured under Islam over there. Anything outside of that is haram and you stay away from it. So it's structured in a way that's conducive to their religion. We don't even live in a society that's like that. There is no Christian society that is structured around the Bible because it's impossible. There's no way you could be perfect. There's no way anybody's going to wait until they fucking married to have sex. It's just not going to happen this day and age. Why, if the government is ordained by God to be in a position to preserve the commandments of God and these laws or what have you, why would they allow this type of system to develop, right? It's a big conflict of interest when the government is supposed to be pertaining and preserving these Christian values and they don't. We know they don't, right? So it just goes back to that, oh, America was built on Christian values. That's something they said back in the day. It's not true today. It never was true because there is no such thing. All of this stuff pertains to you and understanding you and what you need to do to yourself. You are the house of God. You are the commandments of God. This is stuff that pertains to you and you being true to yourself when you really understand. Something that these Hebrews won't get, something that a lot of Christians won't get as well. Now, going back to, again, what the black Hebrews want to say is the answer for black folks, right? And point to us saying we don't have an answer. Well, again, I told you guys, I don't believe in black unity. I told you guys that. There's no fucking way it's ever going to happen. And I broke down why. And the reason why I say that is because it was never meant to be that way. It was about you rebuilding yourself. You working on the temple, the house of God, which is you. And if you do that, unity will happen organically. There's no way we can go out. I can go stand on the podium and start screaming to a bunch of black people to unite, right? the only way that's going to happen if you pay them. Right. And then, but it's not going to be wholeheartedly. It's going to be because you're paying them. It's not going to be something that unites the minds and the hearts. This is something that has to take place personally, each person. Right. And that's the only way unity can ever truly come about, is if each person get right with themselves and understand why we need to help each other and basically unite and let it happen organically, versus us having this leader, which they'll never let us have, to bring everybody together, right? It's just not going to happen that way. So like my answer will always be for you to just work on yourself and to understand that this unity that we're looking for to happen with Black people is not going to happen. Certainly not in our lifetime. And for what point? Like, what would be the point of that? For us, hypothetically, tomorrow, we all unite, we all come together. Now what? Now what? What do we do? We gonna go to war? Because it's the only way we can get what we want. So if we unite tomorrow and we march on Washington and say, we demand this, we demand that, you know, are they going to give it to us? I mean, think about that. It's going to be some pushback there. How many people after a week is going to still be willing to not go to work? When your bills due and a white man that owns your building and your house or what have you threaten to cut your shit off, what you going to do? You're going to go back to work. You're going to walk away from everybody else, right? Now, I'm not saying necessarily it can't work. It's just there has to be a structure to it that we are not willing as Black people to come together and allow to happen. It takes money. It takes, not selling out. We had the best opportunity to do this in the 60s, and it didn't happen because people sold out and people didn't understand how big the movement was. So, it's hard to put into context what we can exactly do, but I know uniting under a religion that basically says we're cursed is not the way. Okay, so the Hebrews get backlash from the Christians, right? And the Christians get backlash from the Hebrews. Those guys go at each other because, of course, Christians don't trust their doctrine. A lot of Christians are on the fence because the Black Christians like to believe the Black Hebrew doctrine, but at the same time, it seems too militant for some of them to accept. And a lot of people don't like accepting the idea that they curse, right? It's just a weird thing to accept that you're cursed, that nothing is going to work. I mean, imagine accepting that in your heart, that you're a cursed person, right? I can't call myself cursed when I have so much success in life. And if you're doing good, you're working, you're doing better than the average person, how the fuck can you call yourself cursed? I mean, how does this curse thing work? That's the part I don't get. So if you look at it and say we're cursed in the context of we're being ruled by our enemies, like they talk about in Deuteronomy, which we're going to get at in a second. So Deuteronomy 28 is talking about, all the curses, your enemy will basically have control over you and everything like that. Yeah, we could look at that and say that. But at the same time, we can live better than them, right? As individuals. It's a lot of Black people that's living better than 10,000 white folks. It's a lot of, and I know I live better than a lot of white folks. I had a lot of money. And it's a lot of celebrities and rich people that's living better than a whole town of white folks. So, how does the curse come into play with that, right? And then people will say, they'll say, well, they sold to Satan. They only live in that way because they rich and famous. But you have business, Black men in business, Black men who own their own company, that have that kind of wealth, that have more wealth than basketball players that are not famous, right? So there's a lot of ways to look at it. But the biggest question or the biggest backlash I got from the last video, of course, is the Deuteronomy 28 situation. And I broke that whole thing down. And you guys got to understand, like when we're talking about the Deuteronomy 28, a lot of people believe that it's 2,000 years old. So they look at it and they say, well, this was written by Moses and, the tablets were put in the Ark of the Covenant over 2,000 years ago, right? So Deuteronomy and all this stuff was written, which I don't know how Moses wrote all these other books when he was dead. That's another question. Moses died and, somebody still kept writing the Old Testament. Who was that? So if we can't prove that, then what is it? It's something that's unproven, right? It's something that's a story. It becomes mythological. It becomes more of a fantasy. So we get into the biblical manuscripts, we get into the book itself. There's a lot of stuff we can get into. Now, as far as getting into Deuteronomy 28 itself, again, it was not written over 2,000 years ago by Moses. We can't prove that. We know that the King James Version was written between 1604 and 1611, and there's no way we can prove that God basically told, King James and his scribes to go ahead and create this doctrine. So I know a lot of Black Hebrews that's on the fence. They put their faith into that Deuteronomy 28. And as I said in the last video, and I always tell you guys, I get it. Because again, there's no way you can read Deuteronomy 28 and not believe that it's talking about black people. Clear as day it is. But I gave you the explanation as to why. And again, you got to remember, written between 1604 and 1611, what Deuteronomy 28 is talking about in the King James Version is not the same as it says in the older manuscripts, which I've shown you guys that. So you got to understand that that was written 1604, 1611 to basically pertain to us today, for us to read during that time up until now. How is it that King James, supposed to be a black man, is going to give a doctrine to people who can't even read the shit, for them supposed to have believe in and trust as being their doctrine to explain why they curse, but at the same time the white man reading the same shit and accepting the same shit? It don't make sense, right? And people will say, well, they're doing it because the white man tricked them too, and they believe that they are Jews and so on and so forth. Then why would God allow this confusion? And then it's the parts that I hate that Christians and Hebrews do, is ignore the obvious, right? Ignore the talking snakes and donkeys. We're not going to talk about that. Ignore that. Ignore Ephesians 6:5, right? Slaves, obey your earthly masters as you would obey Christ or what have you. And you know, they get mad when we point that out. And it's like, I don't understand like how that should be enough. If you're a Christian or a Hebrew, that verse should be enough for you to understand, hey, yeah, a white man wrote this. Because why the fuck would you want us to obey you as we do God? How did you just equated the slave master to God? Obey your earthly masters as you would obey Christ. What? That's equating the slave master to Jesus. Who would write that but a person who wants you to obey them, which is a white man who gave us the book, right? So look at all that shit. And it's just so many things you got to look at. You can't brush under the rug and just, brush it off as nothing. It's stuff that makes clear, complete sense that we're pointing out that you guys need to look at yourself, but you choose not to, right? Because you believe that God put a spirit on you to accept foolishness, right? Stupidity. And there's no turning back from that. So you got a bunch of people marching around Washington looking like ninjas or what have you, who believe that God made them special. These some special niggas that God touched and made all these niggas think alike to believe some dumbass shit. And like literally, I cannot contain the conversation with these people and not crack the fuck up. Because when you start getting them, this is what they say. Oh, well, you can't believe, brother, because God ain't blessed you. Same shit I was talking about in the last video, right? And it's like, okay, so God didn't bless me. Let's say that didn't happen. God didn't bless me. God didn't give me the emotions and feelings of accepting stupidity, right? So we're going to go off of logic if you can do that. That's why I like to trap them with that logic shit, right? So logically, right? I'm a 7-year-old who don't know shit. Logically, can a snake and a donkey talk? What science do we have to show that at one point snakes and donkeys could talk? None. But your imagination would have you believe that God sprinkled some magical dust on these snakes and donkeys that made them talk, because God can do anything. And when you run with that, you defy logic. This is why they want you to accept that God can do all things. So you got to look at all this, man. You got to think about, there's so many questions and things we can get into as it pertains to their whole understanding and doctrine. And yeah, I know, you guys gonna always have questions about this. We can always go back and forth. But again, Hebrews, Christians alike, you guys go ahead. Here's the email again. Make sure you guys email me your questions, whatever questions you got. My son is going to read them. And we're going to go through and answer these questions in my next video to try to get some of this cleared up. I wanted to be an open dialogue, as I always wanted it to be, between this, because you guys bother me too much. I don't understand it. Like, I feel like you're not watching the videos, which I know you're not. You're not listening to it. And I had a Hebrew brother who I was debating with, and we ended up being cool. We ended up talking. We still cool to this day. And he told me straight up, bro, I couldn't listen. He's conscious now. But he said to me, he said, you know what, bro, I couldn't get through the videos because that shit hurt. You understand? And a lot of Christians said the same thing. That shit hurt listening to it because they knew it was true. And it breaks their spirit. That shit is painful to know you put so much time and effort into something and it's bullshit. If you've ever been tricked before, this is the thing that make you feel like, oh shit, I'm stupid, right? And you realize that the stuff that you believe in, that you took on, is something you should have never even believed in the first place, that sounds so dumb now when somebody put it to you in a certain way. This is what happens to a lot of these people. And some people are man enough or woman enough to accept the truth and move on, admit that they were wrong or they was deceived and keep moving, while others want to harp on the fact that, you know what, if I don't believe this, God is going to punish me. Or if I don't believe this, I don't have my brothers. You know, some people look at the Hebrew Israelite clan as family, right? Some of these niggas is homeless. They ain't got shit. They hurting. So I seen people take their shahada and become Muslim for protection. I seen some dirty bitches, you know, become Muslim because they can't get their hair done. They don't got no money for clothes. They can just wear garb all day long, and they don't got to worry about, you know, looking like the other girls. So notice a lot of these girls that's Muslim, they look ugly as hell. They like no bad bitch is going to throw garb on all that stuff up. Let's keep it real. They're not going to do that. It's just people who have, you know, issues to where they need acceptance. And a lot of these people join religious sects, and they get into a lot of these groups and they want acceptance more than they want knowledge. And then sometimes people come out of it, and they come out of it because they realize the truth in a lot of these religions that is bullshit. And then they want to know some real knowledge, and that's how they end up finding me. So that's what happens. But yeah, make sure you guys put your questions in and email me your questions. Just title it "Question for Merkabah." You know, when you go ahead and leave the description, "Question for Merkabah," right? And then put your question, add a pic or what have you. If you want your pic to be up there, or you can send a video. So another thing you can do: send a video of yourself asking a question. You can email it to me or what have you, and we'll go that route. Anyway, you guys want to do it, because I get so many emails now, I can't even go through all this. But make sure you guys are, you know, asking intelligent questions, and it's something that I probably didn't touch on, but you know, we'll see what you guys have, and we'll go ahead and answer. I feel like I answered everything already, but supposedly I didn't, so we'll see. But yeah. I'll see you guys next video. Thanks for taking the time to watch. All links are in the description. Make sure you guys join the society. Make sure you guys, books will be coming up soon. Like I said, we did a test run. And when you guys get those books, make sure you guys send me photos. Everybody who ordered the book, when you get the book, make sure you send me photos, because this is all I want to show people. So when those books start coming in, you guys make sure you guys send me pictures. So we got a lot coming up. We'll get into this next video pretty soon. Yeah. See you guys next video. Scholar Society members, make sure you guys check your emails. All right. See you guys next video. Peace.